But as far as the concept of someone knowing, Fenn seems to think that he'll be notified when the Fenn is found, when the treasure is found, and a lot of people think it's because there is a title inside that that you're going to want to get signed by Fenn, so you'll go find Fenn and have him sign the title. Some have said it's because there's something in there that Fenn has said he'll pay up to $150,000 for, and so you'll come to him for that. So there are lots of reasons, I guess, Fenn could have figured out a way to want you to go meet him. Personally, I would just want to go meet him anyway if I found the treasure. But how will we ever know? I don't know how we'll ever know, folks, because you know what? If you're willing to be patient and you're willing to take 1 or 2 gold coins and sell them on auction on, every year or every half a year, and you're willing to take that treasure and really spread it out, almost like an annuity plan where you just barely get a return on it every once in a while. I shouldn't say barely, but you get money back by selling the little bits and pieces over the years, and maybe you could get away with doing it. People say, well, the average person, they're going to take that treasure, and if they don't if they don't give it to Fenn and get it titled, they're just going to put it on the market. They're going to get busted because someone will see it, and they'll go, oh, that must be the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt, because who has all these jewels, and blah, 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 or people will recognize the jewelry, or Fenn himself will recognize the jewelry, and he'll go, that's my treasure. And then, the person will what? Get found out? Okay, well, he found the treasure. Long story short, this person makes a very good point. How will we know it hasn't been found already? I don't think we can. That's all I'm trying to lead to. I don't think we can't know. I don't think we can know that it hasn't been found already. Fenn is a liar, Tony DeMaria said. Embellisher. He says it all the time. He does. He definitely, I said, yeah, he likes to twist things. So someone asked me about the library I went to in this town, in this area, that I just went to, boots on the ground. I mentioned that there was a library in the area there, and I said, and I mentioned the museum, and they said, was it a separate building or was it attached to the museum? It was separate. The museum was separate from the library. Gosh, this just does not. And then some other guy says, indeed they are separate. I want to go to the same undisclosed location next summer. I'm not sure if he's making fun of me or he's just trying to say he knows where I'm at. Next summer, and he puts a little smiley face, like, sure you're going next summer, or sure I'm going next summer. J. Tomvato says, personally, if the clues point to tribal land, these of course are comments about all these different videos I've done, so I've done them on various subjects, one of them being it could be on tribal land. Personally, if the clues point to the tribal land I'm going, I'll retrieve it in the dark or when no one's looking, etc. Let's not forget possession of 9/10 of the law. I agree. I mean, I would not do, someone wrote, see, that's why I love comments. Someone wrote about my Indian tribal land things, and they said they knew of people who had gone into tribal lands and been stopped by a gang of kids that were drinking, and they were kind of like, what's up, honky, and all that kind of stuff, and it got kind of scary. And they said it was a little scary because these kids were, I think they'd been drinking, and they were just being teenagers, and they were being just kind of trying to scare these people who were driving around the reservation. And but you know, when you're on a reservation, it's their law, it's their land, and they're beholden to a lot of federal laws and stuff, but it's their land. So I say they, I mean Native Americans. I would not feel comfortable at all being on a Native American reservation unless I had permission to be there, Someone once said that they had attended a ceremony on that everyone could go to. It probably cost a few bucks, but you know, they were there on that particular day to see this particular ceremony, and they had wondered what it would be like to go kind of look around the reservation. These are Fenn searchers, but they weren't there searching that day. They were just seeing this ceremony, this dance or whatever was happening. And they asked one of the Indians there, and the Indian said you'd have to go to the elders to get permission to go where you want to go. So that was one tribe, and all the tribes are different, and there's many of them in reservations around the United States. So I would want to have permission, or I'd want to be in there, hopefully on a remote area that no one else goes to, that's not close to roads. But Fenn's loves American Indian artifacts, so it's certainly not hard to believe he would pick a place that has to do with American Indians and reservations. But I wouldn't want to. World famous gamer Jason says, Fenn said you need to start with the first clue to find the blaze. That is so true. Where warm waters halt for me is one place and one place only. Fenn one time said, you have to think the right things to understand the poem. Now, you can think what you want about what that means. I pretty much know what it means, and I have to be thinking the right things for this poem to make sense. And where warm waters halt in my solve is one particular place that leads to all others. Not the first person to say that, not the first person to think that, but you can't just go around saying, okay, let's start with Flaming Gorge Reservoir this trip, and let's try to figure out a way down from there. And then, okay, that didn't work out. Next trip, let's use Cold Springs Mountain and go down from there. I mean, I guess you could do that, but technically, it's like Fenn said, there must be thousands of warm water places, halt places in the Rocky Mountains, and there are. I mean, if you think of all the agua fria in Spanish, cold water, right? Fria, cold, agua, cold water, agua fria. They're all over the place. There's one in Santa Fe, where Fenn's from. There's one right north of Santa Fe, more than 8.5 or 8.25 miles. There's another agua fria. So, I mean, where warm waters halt spots are all over the place in the Rocky Mountains. You have to know the exact one. I happen to believe I do with my solve. Time will tell. Other people think they know exactly where theirs is. That leads to their solve. But Jason's right. If you don't have that particular one, if you don't have that first clue down, you're screwed. Robioni, R-O-B-I-1, a month ago said if the treasure is on tribal land, he's looking at my tribal videos, obviously. What is it? What do you think about Fenn's claim that a few people have already been within 200 feet? He says that because people send him emails. This means multiple people would have had to openly admit to him they were searching illegally on tribal land. They had no idea if they were right, but felt comfortable enough to admit it by email? ? That is a big leap of faith to take on their part to expose themselves legally like that, really for no benefit. They know Forrest isn't going to tell them they were close. Well, you know, if you're on tribal land and you tell Fenn you're on tribal land, and of course he doesn't say to you, oh yeah, and by the way, you're really close to the treasure chest on this trip that you've emailed me about. I mean, if I had been in and out, I wouldn't have any problem telling them where I'd been, because I could always just say I made it up. I mean, not that I think like that, but I mean, legally speaking, what could possibly bad happen? If you find the treasure on a tribal land, you're going to take it, right? So, I mean, that's a done deal if you find it. And if you don't find it, and even if you tell people you were on it, what are you being arrested for? Trespassing by your word? I mean, in that case, then if you had half a brain, I assume when they say, now, are you sure you were on that tribal property? You'd say, no. I was just made it up just to get you going, and it worked. I mean, that's all I would say. I wouldn't know. So I don't think it's a problem. The real problem to me is that someone asked me at one time, they said, do you email Forrest Fenn with these solves? Because he may or may not see them on, you know, on video. I said, no, I don't. First of all, I'm not really. I will say one thing. Some things I said in the recent videos, I said with the potential that maybe he would catch wind of it. But maybe not. Excuse me. And it didn't seem to work, because even if he did, I mean, I haven't heard any whispers or nothing seems to make any difference. But I do not email Forrest Fenn about my solves. And the reason is because he has said he will not tell you if you are close. I'm convinced the closer you get, the less he lets you know. To the point where if you actually told him where it was, he probably wouldn't even return your email. I mean that. I think Forrest Fenn goes out of his way to hide this treasure. That's just from doing this now for a year and a half. Just from watching the blogs and the blogs, I just get this feeling that Forrest Fenn does not... You know, he's kind of like a trickster, like I said in one of the videos. It's kind of like if you were really far off and he knew it, I think he'd kind of make a point of teasing you and maybe giving you a clue because he knows you're so far off. I can't say exactly what it was, but I will tell you there was something that to me was so funny having to do with my solve, where he basically gave someone a really good clue that fits my solve, and that person had no idea what they had, what he had done with them. That's the way I'll put it. I mean, it was just so like, wow, he was really bold with that, and they still to this day don't seem to have a clue. And then on the other hand, though, I get the feeling if he can sense you're getting really close, I think Forrest Fenn might even tell you the opposite. Like, I wouldn't go there. Well, that's a big mistake, man. If ever there's a mistake, I wouldn't go there. Knowing all the time you're on the right track. I really believe he operates like that. He has said, Forrest Fenn has never said, I'm taking a lie detector on this thing. It's a puzzle that he has put out there. It's a mind game that he has created for all of us to play, just the way I look at it. It's a hobby for me. It's not... you keep using the phrase, I've already got my retirement figured out. I'm not using this to retire on, okay? So if any of you are really putting your savings, or I mean, I kind of preach about this only because I could see how, I'll just tell you, sometimes when I've taken now 4 trips, 5 trips, 4 trips, 5 trips. I forget. 5 trips. Yeah. In a year and a half. There are people that have taken 30, 40, 50. There are people that have done, now these people I think live up in the Rockies, but there are people that have taken over 100, 150 trips. 100, 150 trips looking for the treasure. That's like they have no clue what they're doing, right? That is literally like they are doing what I said earlier. Let's try Flaming Gorge this time and see if we can find some clues. And look. Dinosaur National Park, Dinosaur National Monument Park, God, I thought I had those clues. I really did think I had those clues. Those clues lined up beautifully. But then when I got there, it was unrealistic because the blaze was too big. And that's when I learned about how to read maps. And anybody else with half a brain would say, Eric, you didn't need to go all the way out there to figure out that that map, that blaze you had was too big, that beneath that blaze was too big an amount of land. Well, I guess sometimes I think I just kind of like going on these things, so I go. And it was a beautiful, cool area to go to. Echo Park at the Dinosaur National Monument. If you ever want to take your kids out camping, It's a very long rutted road to get down to Echo Park, so you don't want to go in a junker because you might break down. But you can get down there in a sedan, you can get down there in an SUV. You get all the way down to Echo Park campground. Is that what it's called, Echo Park? Yeah. All this cool stuff. But that river, the Yampa and the Green and all that's coming together, and these canyon walls and stuff. Oh man, I go down there, but it didn't work out. But what's the point of what I'm rambling on about? Oh, but I don't tell Fenn. You know why? He won't tell me if I'm close to it, and I don't know who's getting Fenn's emails anyway. Excuse me.